and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. I don't normally dig too deep into some of these political issues, but I thought it was important to talk about since it was reported this week that both Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell both had their houses vandalized this week. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you heard about Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell's houses being under attack. And I think that there's something to be said about this. I think there's something to talk about here. And so what I wanted to do is kind of break this down for you. So buckle your seatbelt, get comfortable. We're going to get started, and we're going to have a conversation about how rich these two people are. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell both have more money than God. You won't believe how wealthy these two people are. As they sit around and decide whether or not the American people are worthy of a $2,000 stimulus check. I'm going to pull out every inch of my PhD on this because you guys know I have a PhD in finance, so I know how to break down money on an unbelievable level, and we're going to break it all down in 1 second. So hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. You don't have to be Black to be here, but you just got to know that in this space, Black people come first. The needs of the Black community come first. I believe in putting our people first. And the reason I believe in putting Black people first is because everybody else puts Black people last. That's why you haven't got your reparations checked, because they put Black people last. That's why your communities are falling apart under the rule of politicians who supposedly represent you, because they put Black people last. Well, we're not here to put Black people last. We're not going to engage in that kind of racism. We're not here to take care of everybody. We're here to take care of ourselves, because once we take care of ourselves, then we can go save other people. I ain't saving nobody till I save my own. So here's the deal. Let's talk a little bit about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. This week, give me a yes or no in the chat if you saw that Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell both had their houses vandalized. And a lot of people are upset with them, very angry with them. I mean, if I were Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi, I would absolutely positively have a ton of security right now, because a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are struggling, and they're in there basically saying that all they can do is send you $600, and they can't even do the $2,000 check. And at the same time, some of these people are saying you need to stay at home. You got to stay home because it's scary out there. You're going to die. Bad things are going to happen. And people are saying, okay, well, I'll stay at home, but I need to pay the bills. Oh, well, we can't help you pay the bills. Well, then what am I supposed to do? Well, we're going to send you $600 in about 6 months. If you wait till Christmas, they were telling you this back in the summer. If you wait till Christmas time, maybe we'll get you $600. But that's only after we take care of ourselves. That's only after we win our election. If we win our election, then we'll send you $600. But until then, we need you to stay at home. And you say, but my kids have to eat. And they say, well, we still need you to stay at home. Well, I'm going to just tell you the truth. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. I think it's ridiculous. I did not stay at home. I just got back from Mexico. I went to Mexico. You know what? I keep hand sanitizer in my bag. Like Beyonce keeps hot sauce in her bag. I keep hand sanitizer in my bag. I wore my mask. I socially distanced. And I lived my life. I was not going to let these people tell me how to live my life. You know, and so I'm not telling you how to live yours either, but I'm going to tell you some facts and I'm going to break some stuff down. So let's talk about Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell more specifically. I don't know if any of you knew. You could probably have guessed that Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell were not broke. You probably could have figured out on your own that when they start sending out $600 checks, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell will not be checking their mailboxes for that $600 check. You probably knew that when they talked about the unemployment numbers and all the numbers of people being evicted and all the numbers of people who can't feed their children, that no member of Congress was included in that group. You probably knew this. You probably knew that people like Kelly Loeffler, who's running for the Senate down in Georgia, Kelly Loeffler, give me a yes or no if you knew this. Her family's worth $500 million. Her family's worth $500 million. So I want you to process that, and I want you to think about if you took all of Kelly Loeffler's $500 million and broke it up into $2,000 checks. Let's say that because you got families out here that really need that money, right? If you broke it into $2,000 checks, if you took just Kelly Loeffler's money alone, I don't know if y'all know this, but did you know 250,000 people could get a $2,000 check if they just took Kelly Loeffler's net worth and divided it up amongst the American people? And she's not really among the richest out here. You got what they call cent billionaires, people like Jeff Bezos. A cent billionaire is a term they just came up with to describe people who are richer than anybody has ever been in all of human history. Jeff Bezos is so rich that he and Elon Musk were cranking about $300 million a day in income at a time where people had to wait 7 months to get a $600 check. So Mitch McConnell, let's talk specifically about Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. And do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also, if you ever want to follow me, I like to use the Parler app because instead of Twitter, because Parler gives you freedom of speech. I'm at Dr. Boyce Watkins on Parler. And also, you go to the Clubhouse app. I'm at Dr. Boyce Watkins on Clubhouse. We have private conversations on Clubhouse. Feel free to join us if you have an iPhone. So here's the deal. Nancy Pelosi, let's specifically talk about how much money Nancy Pelosi has and how wealthy she is. This lady is richer than I thought. She's got an insane amount of money. She ain't waiting for a $600 check, that's for sure. According to Celebrity Net Worth, Nancy Pelosi has been basically in Congress for over 30 years. She is 78 years old. The couple's neighbors know when the Washington, D.C. power couple, her husband's name is not in here just yet. I got to find her husband's name, but who cares? The couple's neighbors knew when the Washington, D.C. power couple was in town by the line of luxury black SUVs making their way up the Pelosi's driveway in Zinfandel Lane. You know Zinfandel? Zinfandel's a type of wine. Nancy Pelosi, apparently she makes extra money by selling wine or something. Everyone from California Governor Jerry Brown to former Google CEO Eric Schmidt have hobnobbed at the Pelosi's California estate. All of this got us wondering, what's Nancy Pelosi's net worth? How rich are the Pelosi's and how did they amass their fortune? Her government salary, by the way, is $223,500. But I'm going to just tell you, $223,500 to people like her isn't very much money. She probably makes that much money in a month by simply getting money from her investments. She probably makes more than that in maybe even 2 weeks. She probably makes $223,000 every 2 weeks from her investments. How many of you, give me a yes or no, if I told you I had a job offer and it was paying $223,500, give me a yes or no, how many of you would apply for that job? How many of you would want a job making $223,500? So here's her net worth information. She doesn't, like a lot of people like her who have tons of money, who aren't going through the struggles of the American people, but yet somehow feel they have the right to decide what the American people deserve to have. They're eating good, but they get to decide if you get to eat. They're eating a feast, and they're deciding which crumbs they're going to throw to you. She doesn't want her net worth revealed. She gives a range. They protect the government. Again, the government has been bought out by your capitalists. So they allow them to, report a range of income as opposed to specifics. So when Nancy gave her range, she gave the broadest range she possibly could. Her range she listed was between 42 million and 202 million. That's pretty big. That's pretty massive. That doesn't exactly nail it down, Nancy. I'm sorry, Nancy, but you got to do a little bit better than that. So a Celebrity Net Worth, they tried to peg her net worth down. They pegged it down to $120 million. $120 million. Now, just to give you, some context on this, People like Nancy Pelosi, again, this is me pulling out my professor hat. You guys know my PhD's in finance. I'm not just a guy who's yapping on the internet. I understand economics and money very, very well. I've been studying it consistently for 30 years. So I know the details that maybe some people might overlook. So if you were to look and just imagine that Nancy Pelosi was a passive investor and invested in this stock market, which has been just miraculously strong this year, that has just blown through the roof. She probably made at least, I'm going to guess, if most of her assets are working assets, which they probably, almost all of it is, I'm sure. She probably made at least a good $10 to $20 million this year. She probably added a good $10 to $20 million to her net worth. If she's an aggressive investor, it could be as high as 40, 50 million, meaning that if she got in on companies like Tesla, maybe bought a little Bitcoin, which has gone up 300%, Tesla's gone up 700%. There are lots of other, it's been like shooting fish in a barrel this year to make money in the stock market. So Nancy's probably seen her net worth increase. Again, now mind you, I mentioned this for one specific reason. While Nancy Pelosi is probably raking in at least a good $2-3 million a month, $2-3 million a month, she is sitting in Congress deciding if they're going to send out $600 checks to the American people or $2,000 checks to the American people. Does that make any sense to you? Give me a yes or no. I'm going to invoke something. I don't need a PhD to do this part. I'm going to invoke something very basic that people have forgotten about, that nobody likes to use. It's almost illegal now. And it's called common sense. Common sense. Let's use a little bit of common sense right now. Give me a yes or no. Does it make sense that someone who's earning $3 million a month gets to decide what the American people are going to receive in their mailbox? Does it make sense that a person who's making $3 million a month gets to decide whether you get to get up and go to work and feed your family, or you got to stay home because you've been told to be very, very afraid? Again, now, mind you, I'm not telling you what to do, but mind you, don't forget that this is math here. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the math. The math says that 99.9% of you are not going to die. I hate to disappoint you. I know some of you thought you were going to be dead by now. I know some of you thought that seeing 2021 was a miracle for white Jesus, black Jesus, and baby Jesus. But 99.9% of you are not going to die. 99.9% of you are still going to have to pay bills and still feed your kids and still live your life. I hate to disappoint you, but that's what it is. So do you think that it makes sense that these people get to make the decisions for people that are actually working for their money? Nancy Pelosi could make $3 million a month by staying in bed every day. That's what happens when you get that level of wealth. When your wealth is that high powered, that's why I'm always teaching you black folks about building a capital base for your children, because you want your children to be in that position, right? You can be mad about it, and I don't like it. It's crazy that people like this are making these decisions, but I also want you to understand it so you can understand how this country is rigged in favor of rich people like the Nancy Pelosi. So Nancy Pelosi is making $3 million a month by not even getting out of bed. And she's deciding if people are going to get their $600 check. I'm sorry, y'all, but I think that's criminal. I think that's absolutely criminal. And although I don't like seeing anybody put in danger or anything like that, I understood when people went to her house and Mitch McConnell's house and vandalized the house. I did not support it, but I understood it. I did not condone it, but I understood it. I'm not going to tell you to show up in his house with a pitchfork or anything like that. You can do what you want to do, but I understand it. You have people suffering out here. And these two people, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, who are 80 years old and 78 years old, respectively. Nancy was a couple grade. I think when Nancy was in the third grade, Mitch was in the first. So Nancy's a little older. She's 80. Mitch is 78. Nancy Pelosi's net worth is $120 million. Mitch McConnell, he's the poor guy. He's only worth $22.5 million. So these two people who have a collective net worth of about $145 million, who combined this year probably made about $30 million in income, are deciding if the American people are going to get a $2,000 check or a $600 check, and have the audacity to tell us that the $2,000 check is too expensive. Now, Mitch is the guy who blocked the $2,000 check, right? Recently, it was the Republicans and Mitch who basically attached the $2,000 check to a poison pill And the poison pill, meaning something that you attach. This is what Congress does. This is one of the stupid games that they play, one of the stupid pet tricks that should be outlawed. It should be banned. It should be illegal. Is they will take the thing you want and attach it to the thing you don't want. And then when you say, I do want this, but I don't want that, they'll say, well, if you can't take it all, then you must not want any of it. Right? It's like if I told my 11-year-old, well, do you want to eat dinner? She says, yeah, Dad, I'd like to eat. And I say, okay, if you want to eat dinner, you got to paint the house and run 10 miles and go and shoot a puppy in the street. And she's like, Dad, I don't want to shoot any puppies. I don't want to run 10 miles and I don't want to paint the house. I just want to eat dinner. Then I would say, well, no, you obviously don't want to eat dinner because you're refusing to go paint the house and shoot a puppy. Right? So that's what Congress does. And the Democrats and the Republicans do it. This is not right wing, left wing. Those are two wings on the same damn bird. It is the bird of corrupt capitalism. That's what it is. That bird is the American eagle of capitalist corruption, where you've got multi-millionaires who feel that they have the right to decide what is best for people who can barely pay the rent. I don't know about y'all, but this just burns me up. It's insane. So let me break down a little bit more of the specifics in the net worth of Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and exactly how they got their money. And also we'll talk about sort of what this means for the country. If you could do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button right now. Everybody right now, please take a second, hit the thumbs up button. We're trying to build stronger Black media because we believe these messages need to be out there. So please do that. Also, if you're interested in a Black agenda I put together, basically combining resources, most of which are free or cheap, that you can apply to implement a Black agenda in your house, you can go to theallblackagenda.com. There's links to Ice Cube's contract with Black America. There's a list of agenda items you can apply to your family this year that will put you in a better economic position. There's a link to my $5 a day investment plan so you can invest and build an asset base for your family. A lot of resources. Anything I could think of that would help you become more successful is on that page. And the reason we have to have a Black agenda that we implement is because these politicians do not care about you. They care about their bank accounts. So here's how Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, got so rich. He's the rich one now, but she's like similar to a lot of white females. You know, the white females that took your affirmative action away, the one where they took the affirmative action programs and started giving them more to white women than to Black people. Give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. Well, she's one of the white females that benefited from a wealthy husband. Paul Pelosi owns a venture capital financial consulting firm and real estate firm called Financial Leasing Services, Inc. Thanks to Paul, the Pelosi's own large stakes in companies like Facebook, Apple, Comcast, Shutterfly, and the Walt Disney Company. Now, mind you, by the way, this year I've been telling you, Black folks, I told you all, I did a video 2 months ago about why I invest heavily in Disney. I take my extra money, I put it into Disney. I have my kids put their money into Disney. I like Disney, Facebook, Apple. Those are all strong companies. Paul Pelosi also owns a few office buildings in San Francisco and commercial properties around California. He spent $10 million to buy the Oakland Invaders United Football League team, which I guess, the European football, that's soccer. And the team was also relocated and named the Sacramento Mountain Lions. Members of Congress are not required to include their annual salary for the financial disclosure firms. They do not have to list any property they own and they don't earn any income on. For example, if Pelosi bought one of her 5 children a $10 million home in San Francisco, she would not have to disclose it until she made her kids pay rent. Officially, Nancy Pelosi reports having $13.4 million in liabilities, which includes mortgages on 7 properties. So this lady owns 7 properties. Did y'all hear me? This lady owns 7 properties and is in a position to decide if the American people are going to get a $2,000 check. Now, Mitch McConnell's blocking the $2,000 now with the poison pill, right? He attached it to Section 230 of the Defense Act, where they wanted to go and attack the tech companies because Donald Trump's mad at the tech companies. They also attached it to an investigation into whether or not this last election has some shady stuff going on. I don't doubt it all. Again, my position is, well, if there's nothing shady going on, then appoint a commission, let them investigate, and let them clear them of wrongdoing. But I think they're all shady. I think Democrats steal elections. I think Republicans steal elections. That's what I believe. But remember, all the while before the election, Nancy Pelosi could have signed a stimulus package. She could have pushed one through. She could have. But you know why she didn't push one through? because she was trying to beat Donald Trump. She was trying to win an election for the Democratic Party. All through the months of July, August, and September, they were negotiating the stimulus package. And every time Nancy would say, well, we really don't want this. We actually want that. And they'd be like, okay, well, all right, well, fine. We'll give you that. And she said, no, actually, we really don't want that. We really want this. Okay, Nancy, we'll give you this. Right? Because Trump's trying to make himself look good, right? He's trying to get the checks written so that he can, run for election and say, look at me, I wrote the checks. Nancy's saying, I don't want you to get credit for writing the checks. I want the American people to suffer. I want them to financially suffer so bad that even if they're sitting on the street, a single mom sitting on the street corner in the winter with her children and starving half to death, I don't care if they end up in that situation. All I care about is that you blame it on Donald Trump. That's it. These people do not care about you. They do not care about destroying America. All they care about is that when America goes up in flames, when your life is in ruins, when the country goes down a spiral, which is this spiral has already begun. It's irreversible, by the way. All they care about is that you blame the other party. That's it. You notice this in the way they run their advertisements. If you pay attention to the ads, notice they never tell you about all the great things they're doing for you. They never tell you how they can make your life better. All they do is they tell you how terrible the other party is. The Democrats and the Republicans do it. They work together. This is why I like talking about Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell as birds of the same feather. That's what they are. They just, I don't get into that Democrat-Republican side. I don't get into right wing, left wing. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's valid points on both sides. I think there's invalid points on both sides. I think there's hypocrisy on both sides. But the silliest conversation you'll ever engage me with, one that I will not participate in, is when I have to listen to a Republican explain why the Democrats are all hypocrites, and then go listen to a Democrat explain to me why the Republicans are all hypocrites. I'm looking at it like, well, you know what? I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm just black, and I think that y'all all crazy, and I think you don't care about the American people, and I think that capitalism has tainted your democracy. Capitalism has peed in your lemonade, and you got people drinking the lemonade, drinking the Kool-Aid, believing that somehow my Kool-Aid with the pee in it tastes better than your Kool-Aid with the pee in it. Well, it's all pee-infested Kool-Aid. I don't want to drink none of that. I'm gonna go drink some alkaline water. How about that? I'm gonna go to read a Dr. Sebi book and get some alkaline water, because all of y'all people are crazy. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done this yet. Also, in case you don't know, this podcast is actually on Spotify and everything else, so you can actually look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, and you can find it there too. So feel free to go look up the drboycebreakdown.com. You can also text the word Boyce to 31996, and I'll send you text notifications when I go live periodically. I won't bother you too much, but periodically. Okay, so here's the problem you have with the fact that Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell are two old people who are insanely rich, who are making decisions on whether or not the American people should get a $600 check or a $2,000 check. Here's the reason why Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, rightfully so, have been challenged by those who see how the game is being played. It comes down to this concept in finance called incentive alignment. Incentive alignment basically connects to another concept called fiduciary responsibility. Now, let me explain this. I'm going to explain it in a way that is so simple that even your 4-year-old will understand. Incentive alignment basically means that we're in the same boat. Incentive alignment means that I have an incentive to do right by you, and you got an incentive to do right by me. So, for example, if you have a lawyer and your lawyer says, I only get paid if you get paid, if we win this lawsuit together, I'll take 30%, but you'll have 70%. But if you make no money, I make no money. Then some would say that that's good incentive alignment, because if you don't make any money, he doesn't make any money, right? Or it also is connected to the fact that he has a fiduciary responsibility to take care of you. He is your representative, right? So representatives who have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your interests should have incentive alignment so that everything is good. If there's not incentive alignment, then that's where corruption occurs. So if your lawyer, that's why if the courts find out that your lawyer also represents the defendant or the other party in the case, then they're going to say this is not appropriate. The incentives are not aligned. There's too much corruption that's going to happen because your lawyer is going to make money if you lose the case. Well, that shouldn't be your lawyer. Do you follow what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying. I'm trying to break this down because sometimes I get accused of talking over people's heads, and I know I got a lot of intelligent black people in here, but I also got some people that want to be more intelligent, and I love y'all too. I love all of y'all if you want to be smarter, but I'm not going to talk down to you, but I want to make sure I don't leave you behind by going too fast. Okay, so why did I take the time to make this point to you? And also, hopefully, if you got your 4-year-old listening, I promise I won't cuss, they can understand this too. The problem with Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell representing the American people, the problem with these millionaire, billionaire politicians representing the American people is that you do not have appropriate incentive alignment, which means that they are failing miserably in their fiduciary responsibility to represent the American people. In other words, they ain't in the same boat as you. They're not in the same boat. Some of y'all, some of our people are in a life raft and they're sitting on a cruise ship. You can't let a person on a cruise ship make a decision for somebody who's on a life raft. The rising tide does not lift all the boats. When their tide rises, some of our people, our boat sinks. So these people should not. It is unbelievable. And this is where I went back to this basic idea of common sense. It is unbelievable that we have a country that is so economically sick that it believes that it makes any sense whatsoever to have people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars making life or death economic decisions for families that really need that $600 check. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? The only way Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell could have any credibility with me as incentively aligned leaders who are upholding their fiduciary responsibility is if they were to go into their personal net worth and give up 50% of their net worth and contribute that to the fund that will go out to help people who are struggling through the crisis. You can't tell me that somebody who owns 7 properties and has a net worth of $125 million like Nancy Pelosi does can ever understand how somebody feels when they're waiting on a $2,000 check because you up here playing games with Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I hope you can hear me. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking you to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. This is stupid. This is a microcosmic, very clear, transparent, eye-opening personification of a big chunk of what is wrong with your country. This is why the approval ratings from the American people of members of Congress are like down near the single digits. Most people hate Congress. They can't stand these politicians. They are sick of these SOBs. And I don't know what the future is going to hold, but all I can say is, and you guys know when I talk about this stuff, I'm not here just to complain. I'm solution oriented. I'm a mathematician. Mathematicians solve problems. We don't just complain about the problems. We solve them. And I don't believe black people have any friends. I don't believe in black-brown coalitions unless you're talking about a dark-skinned black person and a light-skinned black person. But when they talk about black-brown coalitions, like somehow all the Latinos that they're bringing in from across the border are suddenly going to align with black folks and help us solve our problems. I'm not saying I dislike anybody coming across the border. I'm just saying I ain't seen evidence of that. I haven't seen any evidence that there's anybody out here who's really making it in their interest to really help black people, foundational black Americans, or help us get the reparations we deserve, or help us to survive economically. I've seen nothing. I've seen none of that. In fact, if you ever want to really see white people who can't stand black people, go to South America. Has anybody been hip to that game? Has anybody ever been made aware of just how much white Latinas on average, not all of them, but as a collective, cannot stand black people? Go to Brazil and look at how they treat black people in Brazil. Seriously, I mean, I'm saying this, I'm making this little point because I hear the Democrats say, well, no, the black people and the Latinos, they're all the same, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, wait. So this white person from Colombia, you don't understand. When I go to Colombia to visit my brother, they hide the black people. Did y'all know that? When I would go to Colombia, I'd be like, where are all the black people? Everybody's white. They're like, oh, the black people are on the poor side of town. They're not allowed to come over here unless they're coming over here to work. Seriously. So I'm just sitting there trying to tell y'all that these people will throw you a rope a dope and laugh at you and make fun of you and screw you and care nothing about it. So at the end of the day, my advice to you is very basic. Hide your wife, hide your kids, take care of yourself, because these people are not, the cavalry ain't coming. The cavalry's not coming. The best I can do is number one, tell you what I see, share things that I know, and also to let you know that I believe that a solution is something that you can actually implement in your own family. If you go to the allblackagenda.com, like I said, most of everything on that page is pretty much free. Little things like investing consistently. What that does is that economically aligns you with wealthy people, so that when the Pelosi's and the McConnells are making money, you're making money too. I feel bad if you were a person who sat on the sideline while this stock market went insane and didn't get any of that money, that wealth that was being created. The Fed policies on money are just kind of creating this really ridiculously distorted economy that's benefiting the select few. Inequality in America has never been higher. It hasn't been this high in 100 years. The robber baron era, Carnegie, Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, that was the last time we had this much inequality in America. So America's not just a country that doesn't care about poor black people. America is a country that does not care about poor white people either. So I'm just telling you guys, handle your business, man. Solve the problems on your own. Get your information from multiple sources and make the decisions that are going to work for your family. What we believe here, for example, in the Black Business School, is we believe black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support black businesses. I believe that will help us long term develop the kinds of economic strongholds that can survive an incredibly corrupt society in which rich people are consistently screwing over everybody else. That means that all this nonsense about integration and getting the right job and or going deep in debt to go to college so you can owe some white university $100,000 so they can get you another job working for another white man. I don't think those models work. Most people I know that follow those models are going to die in debt. That's why black wealth is actually going down. That's why your economic security and your emotional security is for many people is at an all-time low. And I think that this pandemic, I think they were playing games with people. I think they were lying to people. I think they were screwing people. Why do I come to that conclusion? It's not because I'm trying to be radical. I live with a fellow college professor, and we look at numbers. We look at data. We dig up. We research information. We don't just follow what's on TV because we believe that most media is corrupt. It's controlled by the capitalists. So, long story for your family and just be as smart as you can. And I'm gonna be here with you to share whatever I see and what I know. And I think this whole thing with Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell was interesting to talk about today because it just shows you in glaring form how backward and ridiculous this whole situation is. These multimillionaires should not be making decisions for poor people. There should be poor people in the room, or single mothers in the room, or struggling families in the room who could help them understand what it feels like to be waiting on a $600 check when they told you to stay in the house for 7 months at a time. How in the world is that supposed to work? Well, it's not. It's not. So anyway, I'm going to go. If you still haven't learned to buy your first share of stock or you want free information from the Black Business School, you can go to firstsharestock.com. There's a free training right there. It takes 10 minutes. It'll get you started investing. And also you get on the Black Business School email list where I send you out tons and tons and tons of free information. Again, we make little offers here and there, like, hey, if you want to sign up for this, you can sign up for that or whatever. And we have money back guarantees and everything is great that we offer and deliver. But you don't have to actually pay anything. I want to make that 100% clear that if you're struggling and you have no money, we are here for you regardless. We have to charge money for certain things, in exchange for value, because that's what a business does. We have to run black-owned businesses. We have to employ black people. We have to create opportunities for ourselves. But it does not mean that we don't like you if you can't pay for something. So if you go to firstsharestock.com, you can get the training for free, get on the list for free, let us prove ourselves to you, and then maybe when your child gets 18 or when you're thinking about going back to school, instead of going to the University of Iowa or some school that's going to give you a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of white supremacist nonsense, you can actually learn from black people who actually care about you, who know what we're talking about, with real wealth builders who own property, who make investments, who are actually doing the things that are actually increasing Black wealth. So feel free to go to firstsharestock.com. You can also text the word voice to 31996 if you want to get text notifications. And last but not least, like I said, I'm on the Clubhouse app, and I do stuff on there every now and then. So if you're on Clubhouse, you can look me up over there too. So if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe before we go. And thank you guys for listening. And I'll check back in a little bit later. Have a good day. See you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.